this week we read chapter 3 called Will and Won't. Will and Won't. Adam, who's that? Who are you being? Kristen Wiig as Creature.
Okay, yeah.
I forgot because I was like, why is this chapter called Will and Won't? And then I got the won't. What is the will?
Sirius's will.
Thank you. See, I was looking at it very literally. I was like, who says they will do something?
Who's choosing what to do? Yeah.
And this is why I'm a rose of Golden Girls. Like certain things like that. Like as soon as someone else says it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But for some reason, like things like that will just go over my head. And then as soon as someone else says it, I'm like, yeah, of course. But for some reason, I wonder if I feel like that has to be like an upbringing thing. I'm going to have to ask Melinda if that's something that she experiences too. That it's like just the way we were brought up. We're very like literal thinkers, or maybe that's not the right word, but like when things like that, I don't know.
Everything is at face value.
Yes.
We're recapping a show called Stay With Me, and there have been multiple times in the recaps where like we've been watching it and I have no idea, like in a way that it's so obvious what's going on, and I will be flabbergasted that something happens. Like there was one episode where these two guys were like, we're going to get revenge on him because like he hurt you or whatever. And then later, like there's like this whole drama about like an anonymous post on like the school forum that like makes him look bad or whatever. And the entire time I was like, who could have done it? Who could have done it? I have no idea who could have done it. And then it's revealed, and I was like, obviously. Oh, right. Yeah.
Duh.
God.
Well, I'm glad it's not just me.
No, we're getting to that age. Ari, we're getting to that age.
I can't blame it on that, though. I was like this the day I was born.
Great.
The good thing about it is then, but when someone is saying something to me, I'm always very like, oh yeah, no, for sure. Rather than like, I don't have like a smart ass comment to make to them. If that makes sense. I'm always very just like sincerely responding.
Earnest. Yes.
Earnest. Yes.
The importance of being.
The importance of being. Yes. Remember we were in that? Okay. Adam, what happens in this chapter? Chapter 3. Chapter 3, what happens in this chapter?
In this chapter, we finally are back with Harry. Oh my God.
This is the only book, right, where there's 2 chapters that have nothing to do with, well, Harry's not in them. They have to do with him, but like, he's not in them.
Yeah. Dumbledore comes to pick Harry up to take him from Privet Drive to the Burrow. And Harry inherits number 12 Grimmauld Place and Creature from Sirius's will.
Unfortunately.
Sorry.
Blee. Ooh.
Okay. So, Harry, we start this chapter. Harry's asleep at the window. He's been waiting, peering out the window. He's fallen asleep like against the glass. Mm-hmm. We don't know who he's waiting for. Okay. But he's sleepy boy.
3 guesses who?
3 guesses who? I just said it, actually. So there are 3 Daily Prophet articles. I'm not going to read all 3. But it's interesting that she gives a brief detour into kind of explaining what's going on in the wizarding world through this use of just the articles. Mm. Harry Potter, the Chosen One. Rumors continue to fly about the mysterious recent disturbance of the Ministry of Magic, during which he, who must not be named, was sighted once more. We're not allowed to talk about it. Don't ask me anything, said one agitated obliviator who refused to give his name as he left the ministry last night. He could have given his name and then he just would have obliviated you. But nevertheless, highly placed.
I was just going to say, isn't that crazy that that's a full-on career?
Wild.
Just like
That's
that's what I do for a living. I just
what
erase
do you do?
people's memories.
Yeah. Crazy. Nevertheless, highly placed sources within the ministry have confirmed that the disturbance centered on the fabled Hall of Prophecy. Though ministry spokeswizards have hitherto refused even to confirm the existence of such a place, a growing number of the Wizarding community believe that the Death Eaters now serving sentences in Azkaban. Pause.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We just didn't everyone just escape Azkaban because like the who's watching people at Azkaban? The Dementors are like gone. They flew the coop.
I think just like normal wizards now.
It's just regular security guards now.
That's what I'm guessing.
A bloke named Charlie is just like, oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even know.
Maybe and also like how much do you have to pay people to work at Azkaban? Because that can't be a nice place to work. Like it wasn't nice before. It's not nice now.
Right. The vibes
it's in the middle
bad.
Of the sea. The northern sea.
You have to live there. You're basically also trapped in Azkaban. Like it's
I know. Yeah. I don't think anyone's really excited for that gig.
Now serving sentences in Azkaban for trespass and attempted theft were attempting to steal a prophecy. The nature of that prophecy is unknown, although speculation is rife that it concerns Harry Potter, the only person ever to have known to have survived the killing curse, and who is known to have been at the ministry on the night in question.
Rife.
Rife. Matt Rife. Some are going so far as to call Potter the chosen one, believing that the prophecy names him as the only one who will be able to rid of us of he who must not be named. The current whereabouts of the prophecy, if it exists, are unknown, although continued on page 2, column 5, and then it doesn't continue. We'll never know. I just was fascinated that they actually are using Azkaban. How did that hiring process go? Was there I
can't imagine. Know what I mean? Yeah. What are the perks that come with this position? Like, why are people like, yeah, I'll do that?
Did they just post on like Indeed.com and they were like, needed
looking
immediately?
For security guards. Yeah.
Corrections officers.
Yeah.
Okay. We get another article about how Scrimgeour has officially become the Minister of Magic. No. And already there are rumors of a rift between Dumbledore and Scrimgeour.
Of course there are.
This is not how you want to start your administration, sweetheart. I promise you this is not the way to do it.
Yeah, you don't piss off Dumbledore right away.
Not right away. Give it a week at least. Not the day of. Hours later after you...
I think he thinks he's top dog, though. I think like he's that type of vibe.
Oh, for sure. Big alpha male energy.
In like hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
No thanks. We find out there's new protections at Hogwarts. The ministry is concerned about the welfare of students for the first time ever at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I was like,
oh, it only took 6 books.
Only took 6 books and sicking multiple dragons on students during the Triwizard Tournament.
A whole Triwizard Tournament, the Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, just chilling under the school, Basilisk up in there and everything.
Isn't it funny if you think about the fact that we didn't talk about this in book 4, and I don't want to labor too much on book 4. Isn't it funny to think about the fact that the first challenge, they had to like fly these dragons in, but like it happens pretty quickly after the cup reveals 4 contestants.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Why do they have a 4th dragon on hand?
They must have just been like, hey, we got to rush order a 4th one. You gotta
get the Welsh green. Get that Welsh green. Just go over there and grab that Welsh green.
Yeah, right. That one was just literally like across the pond.
Yeah.
They just rounded her up real quick.
Okay. So, we also there's a reveal, not a reveal, but there is a quoted like leaflet that the ministry has given to families in the Wizarding world, and it is a defensive leaflet on how to like protect you and your home in these unprecedented times. In these unprecedented times, wear a mask, wash your hands, learn the protection charm. Okay, the next it's a tour through periodicals. It's a real montage of what's going on in journalism.
I actually didn't mind this though. Do you know what? I liked this. This was a good tool of like it's because it makes total sense that he's got these like laid out, and I was like, oh, okay, we're getting like these
great tool. And it did the thing in that first article that I read of the thing that we hate that she does, where she's like, Harry Potter once survived being attacked by Lord Voldemort. So she included it in the like.
In that, yes. So we don't have to go through that. Yeah.
We don't have to continuously. 100%.
Why didn't we just, this was great.
I'm just glad the one thing that's gone fully is like Harry Potter, a slight boy with hair sticking up on end, with glasses and a lightning bolt scar.
And he's not like other boys. That was just every single time. It was like, he's not like the other
different. Death Eaters, we find out, are now allegedly, they are using the Inferi. And let me tell you, as someone who this is my second time ever reading this book, I was like, wow, she dropped that in so early in this book, and then it does not come back until much later. We will be tune back in like October, November to when we get the Inferi again.
The last couple chapters.
Oh, and I was like, I had like chills. I remember even just reading that. When we get to it, we'll talk about it more, but like that chapter in the end of the book when the Inferi come out, I like was so scared just reading it because it's they're so scary. They're described.
Yeah. It's like the worst possible thing you could ever encounter.
Yeah. We see a letter written to Harry from Dumbledore explaining that he's going to come pick him up tonight to take him to the Burrow.
Yeah. I was here for this. I was like, let's get right into it. Let's go. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need any more of Harry at Privet Drive, thanks. Like this chapter was like the perfect amount.
Let's yeet out of here.
Yeah.
And so that's why Harry's waiting by the window. He's waiting for Dumbledore to show up. At the stroke of midnight, isn't it midnight?
Was it?
I think it was midnight. Or was it 11 or was it midnight? It was one of the two, but it was like right on time. The minute hand on the alarm clock reached the number 12, and at the precise moment, the street lamp outside the window went out. I think
I'm surprised they're even all awake at this time.
11 p.m. It's 11 p.m. So the minute hand just hit 12.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I am surprised that they're seem like a early to bed, early to rise family.
Yeah.
At least Petunia for sure.
Also, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's probably because I'm a millennial, but if you're ringing my doorbell at 11, at pretty much any time after like 8 p.m., I'm not answering unless like I have ordered a pizza or something.
Right.
There was one time when we were still in Simi that someone not rang our doorbell, pounded on our door at like, I think it was like either 10:30 or 11. And Michael just like went to go answer the door. And I was like, don't open that. I was like, we're not expecting anyone. I was like, don't open that door. And then we like looked through the keyhole, and then it was a delivery guy had just gotten the wrong door. So we like saw him standing there with like something to like food. And so then I was like, we didn't order any food. So we just like essentially told him, we were like, we didn't order any food. That's not for us. And then he, and then he was like, okay.
And then
he was like, but yeah, it was just so fun because Michael just instinctively like he did say like what the fuck or something, but just like he went right away to answer the door, and I was like, no, yeah right. But maybe that's because like as a woman, You're like,
as a woman.
No.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not expecting anyone, so I'm not opening that door. There's no
My
way.
current apartment does not have a buzzer. Like, basically the only way you would alert us that you were here is you would have to like call us, which is like honestly
really?
fine with me. That is fine.
Yeah. Can they even come up?
There is a front door. There is a front door. So they could come up through that. But I would like
typically
we haven't ordered delivery yet. If
Yeah.
we do, I'm gonna have to put like in the notes like please call this number. And
Yeah,
I'll come
right.
down.
So you just come down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So at the stroke of 11, Harry like wakes up, sees the cloak, and he's like, "Oh my god, he's here!" Because Harry had not packed. Harry did not really believe that this was happening, and you know what? I get it because I feel like Dumbledore has let Harry down before, so I would also be like,
he's like,
it might
we'll
not be
see.
happening. Like a month and a half ago, they had a huge fight in Dumbledore's office where Harry was like throwing things around. So like,
true, and Dumbledore cried.
And Dumbledore cried.
Yeah.
So he hears the doorbell. Vernon answers the door and is like, he's just like Michael. He's like, "What the hell? Who's this late at night?"
And goes to answer it. Wild.
And in walks Albus Dumbledore in full black traveling cloak and pointed hat, looking like a full wizard. Like,
you know what
not
I said?
Trying to do.
Do you know how I said, I was like, yeah, this is enough of like Harry Potter at Privet Drive. Actually, give me more of Dumbledore at Privet Drive.
Yes.
I need more interactions like this. Like, I was like, bring him here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
So he just like waltzes in. Actually, he stands on the doorway for a minute and is like, "Well, I'm gonna assume you meant to invite me in, so here I come in because it's unsafe to just be standing on doorsteps now in these unprecedented times." So he comes in, he closes the door behind him, and then they're like standing around, and Vernon's like, "Okay, sorry, I don't mean to be rude." And then Dumbledore is like, "And yet people can be rude so accidentally, so maybe it's best we just stay quiet.
It's just best to not say anything at all.
It's best to just keep our little lips closed. How about that, sweetheart?" This is probably the gayest chapter that Dumbledore has ever been in. Everything is like a little witty clapback.
Yeah.
He's like...
Oh, man.
Petunia comes out. She had been cleaning the kitchen. She comes out and she's also horrified to see Dumbledore in their house. And he's like, "Well, let's go into the sitting room." He like tells her, she was like, "Oh, we've corresponded," of course, obviously referring to the howler he sent last year. That's what he deems our correspondence.
So casual.
Very chill correspondence. They go into the sitting room. He like instructs them to sit down because Dudley's also now with them by making the like couch like do like almost like a comedy routine where it like comes up from behind their knees, plops them down, and then goes back to its place. And that's one way to get people seated, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, without using the imperious charm and urging them to sit down. But when he pulls his wand out to do this, Harry notices Dumbledore's hand is black and like shriveled.
Not looking great.
Not looking good.
And so are we supposed to assume that this is like what Bellatrix was, or what Snape told Bellatrix and Narcissa? Are we as the reader? Do you think we're supposed to?
I think so at this point in the chapter, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to talk about this last week and I didn't.
What?
The first time I read chapter 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believed. I think it's supposed to be another classic Harry Potter setup, bait and switch of like, you're supposed to believe that. I mean,
Snape is a bad guy.
You're supposed to believe that Snape is a bad guy. Yeah. which we understand on this podcast canonically, he is a bad guy.
Yeah, correct.
One right thing does not correct all the wrongs you've ever done, which are many.
Being a horrible person.
Plethora. Right. But I don't remember. I'm trying to think of like at the time. I think I was just like, because this was definitely like I went to a midnight book drop for this one. Mm-hmm. So I probably just started reading it, and I don't even know. You know when you like read stuff so fast, you're just like not even really intaking the information.
Yeah.
You're just like trying to like almost like eat as much of it as you can in one sitting.
Yeah.
I think that's all I was doing, because I don't think I even remember. I remember the scene happening. Like I remember the scene of the Unbreakable Vow, but I don't even remember having thoughts in my head of being like, wow, Snape really is two-timing the order, which I think is what you're supposed to think when you read the chapter.
I didn't realize this until you just said that about going to a midnight drop, because I was like, ooh, what did I do for this book? I was in England for the first time ever.
Yes.
I got the English copy of this book. And I can't remember. We must have started reading it like during the trip, obviously, but I can't remember. I think I just always, I think by the end of this book, I genuinely thought, I was like, is Snape actually a bad guy? Because it was just really hard to like not think that, especially with how young we would have been. Like I would have just been like, oh, I guess he really was bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were right. He was and is.
And in the end,
who was proven right here? The children. So Dumbledore's hand is gross. Okay. Why wouldn't he? I'm gonna spoil it. Why wouldn't he wear the ring on the other hand, his like non-dominant hand?
I don't know.
That's so silly to me.
It had to be. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he genuinely didn't know what the curse was going to be.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah,
because he can't take it off.
Might as well put it on your. Is it?
Yeah.
Is he? Which hand was it on? Is he wearing the ring on?
It's on. It's on his hand. He uses that he uses for his wand.
Okay.
His wand hand.
Is he ambidextrous? Maybe he's ambidextrous. You never know.
Maybe.
If anyone is, it's Dumbledore.
I feel like it would be easier to be like wand ambidextrous than like writing ambidextrous. Because he did write that note to Harry that we read earlier in the chapter.
Mm-hmm. But are you saying he can't write with his hand? I think his hand still works.
It's just gross looking.
Yeah. Little shriveled hand.
It's like the Kristen Wiig little hands.
Yeah, exactly.
So he draws up some mead in little goblets, and everybody like has one, and it's so funny because Harry and Dumbledore are like, okay, we'll drink them. And then the three goblets for the Dursleys are just like bumping into their heads to be like, drink me. They're just trying to be like, oh, no. Enough.
But they also, Harry and Dumbledore just drank it. It's obviously not going to do anything to you. You're walking.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it either. I gotta be honest. I don't know where that I also don't. I'm not a big mead person. I've had it once, and I was like, "Oh, this is not for me." So Dumbledore reveals that Sirius has bequeathed all his belongings to Harry. So that does mean that Harry gets another sizable chunk of gold coin into his vault.
Do you think he's going to help anyone with that, guys? Do you think he's going to be very generous with anyone?
No.
He's not. Spoiler.
Which means he also... Spoiler alert. So that means he also has left Harry number 12 Grimmauld Place. Which Harry's like, I'm actually okay. Good. I don't want that at all. Thank you, though. And then Vernon's like, he left him a house? First of all, Vernon like is late on everything. He like a minute later is like, his godfather died, and then they're discussing the house. He's like, he left my house, so it's very funny. I wonder. There was a part of me that was like, is Vernon gonna be like, we should move into that house? Like, I was curious if that was gonna happen.
I think he just wants the money. Whatever if Harry is selling that house and making a profit off of it, he wants the money. He feels entitled to the money.
Do you think do you think the house is so baked in with charms they can't even sell it to a muggle? Do you think they have to sell it? If they were to sell it, they would have to sell it to a wizarding family? I don't even
know if a wizarding family would want it because of like the portrait that is like attached to the wall that can never be removed.
That cannot be removed, yeah.
And she just yells insults at people. I'm like, and the house.
It's unfortunate.
Like,
it's an easy way to lessen your property value. I'll say that is to affix a screaming portrait to the wall that can never be removed.
That's why I think it's just they were so overly confident that was always going to be in the family. I'm like, well, you just embarrassed yourself. Like, oh, yikes.
Honestly, the most embarrassing family in the Harry Potter book series is for sure the Black family.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
You go into that house one time and you're like, who the fuck lives here? Like,
it's just like bad cult vibes.
Yeah.
Cult.
Yeah. And like marrying cousins and stuff like that. Like, because, or like second cousins or whatever, just because they're trying to stay all pure blood, like ick.
Yeah. We're getting a little Habsburg chin energy. Yeah. We're just going to start inbreeding. Scraping the bottom of the gene pool, really. Okay, so yes. So because the problem is, so Harry's like, you can continue to use it for the order. I don't care. You don't have to ask me if that's the point of this conversation. And Dumbledore's like, oh, no, we've left. Because the house has so many enchantments that it's supposed, like, lineagely... That's not a word. It's supposed to go to the youngest son.
Yeah.
Which would have been Regulus, technically. But Regulus died before Sirius. So it went to Sirius. Sirius didn't have children. And he left everything to Harry. But it also needed to be a pure blood, technically. So, allegedly. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I don't know how
this is another.
So then it was like, well... So then technically it might actually be Bellatrix's. Like the house might recognize itself as Bellatrix's. And so he's like, there's really only one way to there's really only one way to figure out how to do this. So he summons Creature into the parlor of number 4 Privet Drive. Creature who... And house elves are already, like, described as, like, dirty, typically.
He was
Creature is...
little laps around. It was cute.
Creature is nasty. Nasty.
Yeah.
Summons Creature. Creature's like, I absolutely am not going to do whatever you say.
Won't.
Bobbity bobbity blah. Won't. And so they're like, well, Harry, if you just instruct Creature what to do and he listens to you, that means he's like, because he's bound to the house. That's like the way you know. So he tells Creature to shut up, and Creature looks like he's been like choked. He can't speak anymore. And cool. So Harry owns number 12 Grimmauld Place and Creature. This is awesome and sure not to cause any problems down the line. So
yeah.
Can I say one thing about do the thumbs up again, Ari? Because mine doesn't do it. This is my one thing about the thumbs up thing. You're already doing the thumbs up. It's not actually adding anything
to it.
It's one thing to be like, you do the peace sign and you get the balloons. Like, that's separate, and it's like, whatever.
Isn't there a heart one too?
The thumbs...
Yeah.
Oh. The thumbs up being just an image of a thumb up is like...
Oh, it's a thumbs down, too.
We can see you doing it. I don't know why the extra... Whatever.
Yeah. Doesn't really make sense.
That'll be my go off this week on the group chat.
Please.
Okay. So Harry owns it. At one point he's like, well, I can like free Creature. And Dumbledore's like, well, let's really think about this, Harry. Do we want to free Creature who has lived in number 12 Grimmauld Place for a year?
All the intel.
The Order of Phoenix. Do we think that's a good idea? Let's use our noggins, Harry. And Harry's like, oh, yeah, there are consequences to my actions. So then Dumbledore's like, if I may offer a suggestion, you could send him to Hogwarts to work.
The biggest
other
collection of house elf slaves, essentially, in Scotland or in Britain.
Truly. In maybe the world. Who knows?
We don't know.
And so that's what Harry chooses to do. And on his way out, before he disappears, Creature like gives him like a really nasty look. Nasty. Creature's a real basket of deplorables. I'll say that. To bring back a 2016 quote, that's what Creature is.
I've never heard that. Basket of deplorables?
That was what Hillary Clinton referred to Donald Trump supporters as.
Oh, okay.
A basket of deplorables.
Oh, that's so funny. I never heard her say that. Missed.
It was a very big deal. And then it was like, well, actually the reason she lost is because she talked down to middle America. Anyway, not to relitigate the 2016 election.
God.
Okay, the other creature, Creature, that Harry has now in possession of technically is Buckbeak. Yeah. And he's Dumbledore suggests that he can go with Hagrid, and so Harry's like, "Great, let's do that." That's fine.
Love that
I don't need to care for.
Yeah, well, Harry would not know what to do. That would be a very neglected hippogriff. Oh my gosh, I love that he was like, "Oh no, yeah, he can stay with him." I think Buckbeak would like that. I liked that he was like saw Buckbeak as like a being that like should have a choice in where he was being sent, unlike Creature. This hippogriff, we can give the hippogriff a choice. Yeah, let's let the hippogriff stay there because the hippogriff would like it. But this being that's the house elf, no. They don't get free will. Make it make sense. But I did like that he was like, oh yeah, Buckbeak would like to be with Hagrid, so let him stay with Hagrid. Because I was like, Buckbeak's having the time of his life with Hagrid. You know it. They're like BFFs. Bosom buddies.
Do you think Hagrid's too big to ride Buckbeak?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he can ride him. Yeah. I think he's too
that's
heavy.
Sad. I would have liked Hagrid to, I mean, I guess Hagrid has the motorcycle, so he's fine. Yeah. They are changing Buckbeak's name to Witherwings just in case, anybody comes asking from the Ministry. I, at this point, think Buckbeak being alive still would be so far down on the Ministry of Magic's things they feel they need to worry about that they probably don't even have to really change his name. But
yeah, there's so much
no
else
one
going
cares,
on.
Girl.
So much else happening.
So Dumbledore's like, so are you ready to go? And Harry's like, and Dumbledore figures out that Harry clearly didn't think he was coming, so he didn't pack. So Harry goes to pack. It takes him 10 minutes. I have a few questions about this chapter in general. I hate to do this, blah, blah, blah. Technically, this is another chapter where magic is being performed at number 4 Privet Drive, but this time I don't see any owls coming from Mafalda Hopkirk letting us know that there's underage magic being performed here.
What's going on?
So that's weird.
That makes
That's
no sense.
weird. No sense at all. Another thing is, why can't Dumbledore help Harry? That's all I was annoyed by, because I was like, because I think last year
He just doesn't. He just wants to give him
like,
privacy. Harry doesn't want him to come up into his room anyway. He's like, stay down there.
Because in book 5, when the order comes to take him, don't they like
Tonks.
don't they magic his stuff into his trunk?
Tonks comes up with
Tonks
him.
does. Yeah. I feel like Dumbledore could have done that, but whatever. Maybe it's good for Harry to remember that at the end of the day, he doesn't need to pack his own belongings because he's known for a week that Dumbledore was coming.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So he packs his trunk. He comes down the stairs. Dumbledore's still sitting with the Dursleys, and the tension in the room is described as cold cream, which is so funny because it's so it's such a visceral understanding of what
it's such a British
feels
thing.
So weird in the
like
room.
Cold cream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Harry was like, "Oh shit! I wish he was by the door, but it's fine." So then, Dumbledore's like, "Okay, just a couple things before we go." Harry turns of age next year, 17, and Petunia finally is able to speak, and she's like, "That's not true. Dudley is older than Harry by a month, so now we know that Dudley's born in June."
Oh yeah.
So he's what, a Cancer?
Gemini are a Cancer.
Gemini or Cancer. So Dudley is a month older than Harry, and he doesn't turn of age until 2 years from now, basically. And Dumbledore's like, "Oh, but you see, Wizarding World, in the Wizarding community, we turn of age at 17, not 18. I did not know. In reading this chapter is when I found out that British teens turn of age at 18. I truly always thought
it was
they turned
17.
Of age at 17.
Yeah. We were just
yes,
Michael and I were just
always
having this conversation about like the schooling system, because they can technically I don't even know exactly how to say it, but like they can leave earlier than like we could leave school to pursue like essentially like they call it college.
Trade.
Yeah, they call it college though, but it's not college.
Yeah.
Or they could do like
they distinguish between like college and university.
Yes.
And college is like trade school basically, and university is like liberal arts.
Yeah, but I'm like, we say college for like any university basically. Like any university is college. Although there are some colleges, like my mom's St. Mary's College. It's not a university. It's like St. Mary's all women's college, basically. Right? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
It's not a university. I think so. Because my mom would always say St. Mary's College. Yeah, St. Mary's College.
I think that's the technical name.
Mm-hmm. But then like Millikan University, was it Loyola Marymount University? Yeah.
Just Loyola University Chicago.
Oh, Loyola University.
Marymount's in LA.
Oh, okay.
Wizards turn of age at 17, not 18, and he reminds them that he asked them many years ago in his letter that he left with Harry back in chapter 1.
One of one.
The only one. Yeah. That he asked them to raise Harry as if he was their own. And then he goes, and you didn't do as I asked.
You've never done that.
You've never done that. You've neglected him. And honestly, with the way Dudley has turned out, maybe it's even better that you didn't treat him as your own son. And to this, I can only imagine. Sorry to do this. I know it's annoying when we do this, but he has to be referring to his weight.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of hoping that meant more of like him being spoiled, like completely spoiled. But I had the same thought. I had the same thought. Yeah. I was like, is he talking about that he's overweight?
It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
I know.
Find new material, Joanne.
It's just like, and especially with like, you got to make Dumbledore say it. Like, essentially our like number one guy, like the one that's supposed to be said it, like leading by example. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Please don't do this. It's so annoying.
But because he added the protection that whenever Harry lived there, he would be safe until he came of age. The point he's bringing up is that he asks them to please let Harry stay at the house next summer until his birthday because he would still be protected.
Right.
There was a part of me that was like, why would he bring this up? He would stay there anyway. If we're just considering the order of normal events, Harry's going to go back for the 7th year anyway. He's going to I was so confused. Did that make sense to you?
Well, yeah, because especially if the age is different. No, it didn't make sense to me either why that conversation had to be had. Because it's like, well, if the age is different, they wouldn't even know. Yeah.
Right. They wouldn't be like, oh, we're kicking him out at 17.
Yeah, no.
But even if they were going to kick him out at 17 after they told him this information, he's still underage before that date, which is all Dumbledore's asking for.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is really
about?
just an explainer to the audience. But I was like, but it's kind of clunky because there's no real reason why this conversation would even need to happen in the first place, really, if you think about it.
No, yeah.
It's fine. I mean, I appreciated knowing the difference between the two societies, but okay. But also, like, again, and I understand he's still protected because he's with, like, very talented magical people when they've taken him out of the Privet Drive. But, like, why in every book has it been like, oh, we're going to get him out, but he has to stay there for a period of time to, like, let the magic...
I don't know. And where
just
are
have him
these...
not go back with the Dursleys.
Yeah. And where are these hit wizards that were mentioned 3 books ago? Where are the professional trained hit wizards that could be protecting Harry at all times, posted outside the house?
I also do think it's funny that earlier in the chapter when they talked about Hogwarts protections, they were like, there's a special like sect of Aurors that's just going to be at Hogwarts now.
Do we ever see them? Tonks is there.
I don't think so. I mean, we'll have to read the book.
I know Tonks is there. Is Moody? Do we ever see Moody around? I can't remember. All I remember is Tonks.
But Moody's retired, isn't he? Or does he
Yeah, I think he.
Because you'd never know if it's like, is it because they're Aurors or because they're Order?
Probably more so because they're
Order.
Which one?
Oh, I think there's something there.
But yeah, I remember Tonks being there because she's all sad and like has a different Patronus, which I'm not going to reveal why, but the real ones know. Adam, do you remember? Adam is like, what are you talking about?
I'm not a real one.
AKA the people that have reread these books would remember.
So he's going to stay. They agree that he's going to stay there until his birthday. They don't say anything.
Yeah, I know. They're just silent, basically.
Silence. I'm going to need you to do like what a flight attendant has to do for the exit row and be like, I do need a verbal yes. I do need to hear the word yes.
Thank you. There we go. That should have been the will in this. In addition
that
to
should have been the will.
Mm-hmm. The will.
So they go to leave. Dumbledore just vanishes his items apart from his invisibility
and
cloak.
Hedwig.
And is like, oh, I'm just going to... And Hedwig. He's like, I'm going to send these to the Burrow.
What do you think that was like for Hedwig?
What is this magic?
What do you think that was like for her? Was she just like, oh, was it like spinning down? Like, what was it like for her? She's in a cage.
Or is it just like she blinks and now she's...
Yeah. She just blinks and she's like... And then there's like Crookshanks sitting there staring back at her.
Crazy.
Or Pig, I guess, because we don't know if Hermione's there. Little Pidgewiggin is like...
Oh, right. Yeah. And then they decide they're going to go leave, and he says, and Dumbledore's final line is, and now, Harry, let us step out into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure.
I loved... Is that my favorite way a chapter has ever ended? I loved that first off, what you said earlier, so gay.
It's so gay. Adventure is a flighty temptress. Get out of town.
That flighty temptress. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was so good.
I did enjoy it, but I also at the same time was like, it's a little twee, Joanne. It's a little on the nose.
I liked it. I was here for it.
But she normally... She normally likes to do like ending chapter moments as like a one-liner.
Yeah.
Like a joke or like a little button.
Yeah.
But I guess there wasn't really one to end this chapter with, so she was like, let me do some good old Dumbledore wisdom.
Yeah, but I liked if any other character, I'd be like, all right. But I like, because it's Dumbledore, it works for me. I'm all right.
Oh, yeah.
I love
it. 100%. That's the only character that could say this, and I'd be like, yeah, that's something you would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine Hagrid said that? I'd be like,
that flighty temptress adventure. Sorry, I did not mean to be a pirate. Arr.
That's so funny. Arr.
I can't do a good Hagrid impression, I don't think. Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember what Jim Dale's Hagrid sounds like.
Actually, it sounds a lot like what Robbie Coltrane did, to be honest. Like, it's pretty spot on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just very like Cockney English, you know. All right. Well, thank you, Adam. That was lovely. I feel like that's like record time for us too. It's like just over an hour, barely. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 4, Horace Slughorn. We do not have a review, so get on that, listeners.
We're also recording early, but yes, you can still leave reviews while we're on hiatus.
No, but when they're listening to this, we'll be back.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
We love hearing what you guys think. So yeah, definitely take some time to leave a review. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you'll be bashed in the head with a glass of mead over and over again. Until you drink it, whether you like mead or not. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HPAnxious or YouTube and TikTok at The Ampliverse. We are hosted on Spotify for podcasters, so thank you to them, and are a proud member of The Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Ari.
And as always, what does he say again? Let's follow that flighty temptress adventure.
And now, Harry, let us step out into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure.
Yeah, that. And Knox.